Hello, and welcome to the Bold Leadership Story Show, where we talk about experiences shaping exceptional lives. And welcome to the relaunching inaugural episode, where tonight I have the pleasure of speaking with Mr. Phil Doublet. And Phil is I'm going to mess this up, but Phil is an exit strategist. So if you're a business owner and you're looking at a point in time where you want to exit, Phil's the guy to talk to. He's creating high value exits from sustainable business growth. And we're going to get into that right now. So get your notes and pen and paper out. You're going to want to take some notes here because this is going to be a fantastic episode to learn all about how to get your company on to the next level and you on the beach, relaxing with that margarita in your hand with your special someone. So here we go. Phil, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Jim.
Yeah. So introduce yourself properly for us.
Okay. My name is Phil Doublet. My company is DMC Management Consulting. And as Jim alluded to, I help business owners architect a future profitable and successful exit from their business. I'm not a business broker. I'm not the guy that's going to list and do the transaction, but I'll get the business optimized so it's maximally attractive to potential purchasers.
Fantastic. Well, I am excited to learn a lot about this tonight too, because I think one of the first things that needs to be done that I still need to do is to create an exit strategy for the business that I'm starting now.
I
And
hear that a
so,
lot.
yeah, I bet you do. But how many people actually do it?
Statistically, only about a third of business owners have a plan, and it may not be up to date. So most of them don't. It's very similar to wills. Everyone agrees a will is a really good thing. Why do only half the people even have one?
Uh-huh. Yeah, because you keep putting it off. It's like, oh, that won't happen
I'm too
tomorrow.
busy. I'm too busy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got too much going on, but so what happens when somebody the two-thirds of those business owners who have businesses that they're, working their tails off in and just really making the world revolve around those businesses in their lives, and then all of a sudden they want to sell. What happens?
Well, there's a couple of things that go on. So, first of all, according to the SBA, somewhere around 75% of business owners actually do want to sell in the next 5 to 10 years. That's about 15 to 30 trillion dollars in enterprise values. It's just a massive thing. And the term has been coined. It's called the silver tsunami, which is the older business owners want to sell. So there's going to be this big herd. If you do not have a plan and if you haven't thought this through, by the time you want to sell, you're going to be in a long line of businesses that are looking to sell, and buyers are going to have choices. And they're going to choose businesses that are better prepared, make them more money, all those other things. So, once again, if you're prepared, you're going to do better than if you're not. The other thing that needs to be said is that 40% of business exits are involuntary: death, disease, divorce, disability, good, happy topics like that. And
The three D's, the deadly D's,
the
death,
deadly
disease,
D's, exactly.
divorce.
And you have to imagine what that would do to the spouse if suddenly, God forbid, something happened to the owner. What happens to the spouse, the family, the employees, the clients? It goes from, if it's prepared, it's a very sad event. If they're not prepared, it can be a tragedy and a catastrophe.
And it sounds like right now, 75% of those businesses out there are basically setting themselves up for tragedy.
That's I don't want to over dramatize it, but yes.
That's, well, it's kind of true. Um, so I guess the question that if you're watching this, you need to ask yourself is, am I part of the 25% or am I part of the 75%? And if you're part of this either percent, I would say talking with Phil would probably be a good idea. If you're part of the 25%, he may be able to help you uh, make what you've got, the plan that you've got now, even better, especially if it hasn't been updated in a while. Am I right?
Correct. Yep.
And then if you're part of the 75% who's been putting it off and procrastinating, like like me,
Like most.
then yeah, then at least I'm being honest about it. It's you're going to save yourself so much heartache, and not only you, but your special someones, your loved ones. Or if you have investors or stakeholders in your company, um, it's something that it's important. So, what happens, Phil, when somebody comes to you and they haven't planned? Do you have any recourse? Do you have any things you can help them with?
Do they have a plan or have not?
They have not planned yet.
Yeah, I mean, my process starts with an assessment. So I actually have a free assessment that I get business owners can do. It takes about 13 minutes, and it comes back with a report. And what that report does is it measures the business along 8 different business drivers, and it
Mhm.
gets a score on each of those. And it comes up with the current value of the business. And then it also comes up with an estimate of what the value could be if you fix all the problems that we've identified, or most of the problems. So business owners tend to look at that and say, "Wow, that's pretty exciting," because we're talking on average over the 80,000 transactions that's been done, the value of the business can go up as much as 70% if you move all the needles into what we call the green, the 80 percentile. Um, that's six, sometimes seven figures. So, yeah, it's worth doing for sure.
How
Once
much
the
time
assessment's
do you
done,
need?
then we have a roadmap.
How much time do you typically need to accomplish that?
The assessment takes the owner 13 minutes. It takes my team a couple days to put together the full report, and then typically business owners need to imagine that they're going to be spending 6 to 18 months working on the business. And the reason behind that is they already have a job. And if I say, "Hey, just add 10 hours to your week and we'll get this done," it's just going to fail. So it needs to be done in small, bite-sized chunks, baby steps that are successful. And a year or two later, they've got a business that's really maximized in terms of value, in terms of its structure. Then we can do things like create higher revenue and higher profit so that the overall number becomes bigger as well. So there's lots of things that can be done in that space.
What would be a good estimate of a return on investment for that 18 months for them?
Um, the numbers get stupid really quickly. So, but if we take the statistical average of 71%, if you have a business, a nominal business that's worth $1 million, if we work on that together for 18 months and now it's $1.7 million, you just added $700,000 to your value. Any fee that I charge is a rounding error. So it's definitely worth looking at.
So, okay, yeah. So that seems like a really nice ROI. Um, then what about the aspect of doing it now versus doing it later? Say, you don't know in 18 months really what your life's going to be like. And, like you say, most people are like, they'll wait to the last minute. So they're not going to get access to that $700,000 growth aspect.
Well, yeah, not only that, but if they do have one of the 4 Ds that happen unexpectedly, which always is,
Right.
how are they going to get that upside? They're going to take a haircut if this business even sells. The other sad statistic is that only around 25% of businesses that are listed for sale ever actually sell. The other ones just keep sputter along or just close their doors. So there's a big risk by not thinking about this. What I've seen as well is that often we'll optimize the business and get everything sorted out, and suddenly the owner isn't working 60 hours a week, they're working 30 hours a week, they can take vacation, stuff like that, and they actually don't even want to sell for another couple of years because it's actually fun again. So there's lots of different alternative endings in this story.
Okay. So there's a lot of really great things that could happen in your life if you take the time, make the decision before you need to make the decision. Sounds like.
Exactly. Well, and that's why you start with an assessment. If your business, for whatever reason, there isn't an upside, or it's too small or there's something structurally wrong with it, well, we'll figure that out before you spend any money or time on it. So there's really no downside to doing the assessment whatsoever. On the other hand, as happens most of the time, the business does have substantial value that can be gained. You'll know that as well, and you'll know what you're working for.
Great. Phil? What's the consideration for someone who's just met you, and what makes you different? What gives you the experience level, and the tools that you need, and just I don't know, the credentials to do this for a company.
Well, I've had my management consulting practice for 25 years now, and I have personally founded 7 businesses to date. Sold a couple, I've blown up a couple, I still have a couple. I've helped literally hundreds of business owners work their business, improve their business. I've worked on the sell side, helping people get their business ready for sale, as we're discussing. But I've also helped lots of people on the buy side. Someone who wants to buy a business generally needs some help on that side as well. There's an ugly little secret that it is common, at least for smaller deals, that the business broker handles both sides of the transaction, the seller and the buyer. But of course, they're paid by the seller. So is the buyer getting, fair, conflict-free advice? Maybe not. So that's where I can come in on the buy side.
Okay, yeah, I've seen that on real estate deals where the
real estate don't allow it anymore for that very reason.
That's like, no, I did that one time and it was a mess.
Yeah,
I'm not doing that again.
Yeah. So I've served on, I think last I counted was 17 different boards of directors as a director or as a chair, private, public, and not for profit. And so there's not a whole lot of business problems that I haven't seen, experienced, and helped people with. So my credentials, if you will, are 25 years of scar tissue.
Yeah, sounds like it. That's really cool. Do you have any stories you could share? I love stories. Any of those stories that where you got a scar, you can like take a look at that. Those stitches, you can tell us what happened.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I was working with a business owner. He was just doing under $5 million, $4.8 million. It was a manufacturing business, owned it. He had started about 20 years ago. And when I met him, he was working 60 hours a week. His wife was not happy. He was missing his first grandchild, events that are never going to happen again. And his doctor wasn't happy either because his blood pressure was up and he didn't have time to take care of his health and all those other good things. So we worked together and we optimized things, set up policies, procedures, created a team that he could delegate to. And he ended up now working 30 hours a week. He had his first vacation in 5 years. His wife was happier, and his blood pressure was down by 20 points. So that's a good story. Another
that's
story,
a really good story.
I mean, and that's kind of an ideal story. I had another company I helped. There was 2 business partners. One he was 62 and his partner was 58. They worked together. They founded the business 15 years ago. And unfortunately, the older partner died unexpectedly one day, just fell over. Fortunately, we had put together a plan, and it's not like it was a seamless transfer because it was a very sad event, and there was a big gap. Sure. But the remaining partner knew where everything was, knew how all the systems and things worked, and the business survived that what otherwise could have been a cataclysm. So, stories on both sides of the spectrum.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Who is it that you like to work with the most, and how do you find your clients?
I'll answer that in reverse order. I find clients generally through mechanisms like this, referrals and someone who knows somebody else like that. I do some marketing, but I'm not going to get billboards and ads in the Wall Street Journal. the those the clients that I help that way, because they're referrals, they tend to be like a warm introduction and get to know a little bit more about them. Sorry, what was the first part of the question? I wasn't paying attention.
I was just curious to see, where you were at in terms of, let's see, I don't remember. What, what, I wanted to find out a little bit more about, your, how you're finding your clients and where they're, what's a successful
Oh,
onboarding.
sorry. Who do I want to work with? Is what you asked. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so I work with business owner operators. Generally, they're the founders of the business. Generally, they've had the business 20 plus years. Um, Revenue be between $2 to $20 million. These aren't hard limiters guidelines.
Mhm.
Um, Industry agnostic to a point. There's just some businesses that don't lend themselves well to acquisition. Um, but I've had great success with the trades, so HVAC, electrical, plumbing, roofing, folks like that,
Okay.
or professional services, lawyers, chiropractors, engineers, architects. The commonality between those two groups is they were generally founded by an expert in that field who grew the business, and after 20 years, they may have a dozen employees, but they have never sold a business before, and they're not really professional management. They're professional at whatever they do.
Mhm.
So by getting some advice, they can sharply increase the value of the business and sharply increase the probability of selling that business. So those are folks I like.
I've heard stories where people have, like a professional like that, and they have I don't know, a dentist office, and they're the business, right? Or
Yep.
a veterinarian. My father-in-law was the same way. But he ended up selling to VCA, and they kept him on for a year, and he did really well
Yep.
with that. But he was structured for it. He took, I think it was probably at least 2 years before he knew he was going to sell, and he took the time to uh, get his everything in order,
Yep.
and he ended up getting top price for his business.
Yep. He reaped the reward of doing that. No, that's yeah. That's what I'm preaching to the choir, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's so important. Um, when you're lining someone up, and you've been working with them for a while, you're not a business broker. So do you need to get a business broker in the loop at some point? And when does that start happening?
Um, so yes, what typically happens is we want to not typically. What ideally happens is we're starting the process a couple of years before the owner thinks they want to sell. So we
Right.
work together, and 18 months into it, the business is now humming along. If they still want to stay on that time frame, then we talk to business broker about listing the business, because now it's been optimized and it'll go smoothly. If, as I said earlier, they said, "Oh no, things are better. I hold off another year or two," then we'll hold off talking to the business broker until they're ready. Um, Often people go to the business broker too early, because the business isn't optimized, and the business broker they can't get the number that they want to get to
Mhm.
fund their retirement. So
Right.
it's self correcting in that sense.
Yeah. Well, at least they've got some time then, and they're not going through the dreaded 3D situation.
Yes.
Right. Well, what's your most what do you enjoy about doing this? What's the most rewarding aspect of what you do for you?
I've always really enjoyed helping business owners realize their dreams, whatever those are, business growth or acquisition or whatever have you. Working with older business owners to let them take the chips off the table that they've worked so hard to build, and seeing them set up for whatever is next in their lives, travel or philanthropy or grandchildren or whatever. That's very, very rewarding, because it's like they've worked hard and they've reaped the reward, and that's a nice conclusion to anybody situation.
Yeah, I imagine that's a great feeling. Um, have you personally been through in this journey that you've been on? any what you might call an inflection points where you've come up against some resistance or some hurdles that you've had to overcome? And if
Yeah.
so, what were those? If you could describe them, and how did you overcome those?
Okay. Well, I purchased a manufacturing business with a partner, and we worked together. He did sort of half the business, I did the other half. We worked really well together. And one October, he came to me and said he had been diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer,
Ooh, brutal.
and he passed the February following. So months later, he was gone.
Yeah, fast.
Fast. Um, we had always assured each other that we would do things properly. So we always bought life insurance and disability insurance and business continuity insurance. It turned out that he was a smoker, which different issue. Turned out that 2 months before he was diagnosed, without telling me, he canceled his life insurance. So instead of having ample money to pay out his widow, buy the shares back, all those normal things, it was scrambling. I paid his widow as best I could out of cash flow, but that was a very traumatic situation. So all my clients get the speech about having adequate insurance in place if something bad happens.
Yeah. Wow. How did you overcome that with the families and in your family? That must have been really tough.
It was very tough. It cost me a lot of money, and it
Why did
was
he do that? Did you ever find out?
well. I couldn't ask him because he was gone, but my guess
Right.
is that he was trying to save money, right?
How
Because he
much?
was a smoker, he was paying a lot every month for his insurance premiums, and of
Okay.
course he knew in his heart he would live forever. So why not? Yeah, it's an instructive story. Unfortunately, it cost me a lot of money and a lot of angst, but hopefully people can learn from that.
Yeah. So in hindsight for that, what would you do to the next time to mitigate that?
Well, people, if they have a business partner, they should have what we call a unanimous shareholders agreement, which basically outlines what the rules of the game are for that partnership or that company, and um, it shouldn't be possible for one partner to arbitrarily cancel the life insurance on themselves or anybody else. So those are operating rules that I thought were in place, but they weren't. And the insurance situation was odd because our insurance agent who we dealt with for years was unaware he had canceled as well because he knew that she would give him a hard
Yeah. How
time.
do you police that? I mean, it's
Yeah,
like,
you you require when you set up the policy that it requires two signatures to change to make any changes in those things. I mean,
yeah.
hindsight's perfect, and I could have done all of that, and it would have been a lot less painful. But lesson learned.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. That's a lesson that whoever's watching this can learn now too.
Yeah,
So
please.
that's one of the great things about this. Well, Phil, I'd like to spend a little bit of time here. We're bumping up pretty close to a half hour. Have we got more time?
Sure. Yeah. Carry on.
Okay, cool. I wanted to kind of dig into your website. I've got it up here. If I can add it to the scene, let's see. There we go.
Yep. There it is.
So tell us what we're looking at here.
So this is my homepage, phildoublet.com. The left green button is talking about planning the business exit and doing getting the everything in order for an exit. That's where the assessment would be and else like that. The right green button is growing the business in terms of revenue and profit, so that you basically can sell it for more money. So they're hand in glove, which is why they're both there.
It's kind of like the red pill and the blue pill.
Yeah, but ideally
They're
you
both
want to take
green.
both. But yeah, it's really and where you go it depends on where you're at. I mean, if you're 68 years old and you don't want to do this for another 5 years, you better push the left button. If you're 45 and you want to grow this thing and get it in great shape where you can talk about exiting, then the right hand button will work well for you.
Okay. And I'm assuming that if we pushed one of those, it would open up a whole cadre of interesting things.
Well, I hope so. With technology, you never know; it could just blow up. But I think it'll work.
Let's see what happens. I'm going to hit start here for
Sure.
exit your business. So it goes there.
Nothing changed on the screen. Oh,
There
there
we
it goes.
go.
Okay, so
So
this leads us right to the assessment issue that we talked about at the beginning.
okay,
And so what this essentially does is help the business owner look at their business through the lens of an acquirer, which is a different
okay.
different way than what they look mostly.
So if you're watching this and you want to get to this website, I'm going to put this up here. This is where we started.
Yep.
So, and if you push the one of the green buttons, you'll end up with what we're seeing.
The magic will happen. Yes.
Yeah. So, and if you want to sell your business today, would you get the price you want? Probably not, based on what
Probably,
you're saying.
unfortunately, not. Yes.
Yeah. So you've got the value builder system, and these
That
are
is
some of the stats.
true.
You've kind of already shared some of this.
Yep.
That if you have the time, then you can actually almost double the your exit. Um, if you've
It,
got the right foundation and the business is set up that way. And the only way to find out then is to take the diagnostic.
yeah, and literally, you're investing 13 minutes, so it's not a big deal. I have a number of different ebooks that can help business owners understand this. The latest
Mhm.
one that I've been sharing with people is called the End Game, which really describes where a business owner's mind needs to be, because it's more than just the transaction. A lot of business owners get concerned. Well, if I sell the business, what am I? What that's my identity. Who am I? What do I do? And they don't want to
Right.
become irrelevant or sidelined or anything else like that. And that discusses the psychological implications of selling the business, which are can be very, very important.
Yeah. So imagine that's an interesting thing you bring up. It's like when you sell your business, is that may be part of why people who are owning business don't see themselves selling because it's scary.
Well, they haven't really thought about what they want to do after the business. They're working so hard. It's been their identity. It's been what they do, how they people think of them, that they need to think about what they become if after the business is sold. And a
Right.
lot of people savagely underestimate what that's going to look like. So people say, "Oh, I'll be great. I'll be retired. I'll be golfing 7 days a week." Well, that'll last a month, and
Right.
I
So
wasn't a
boring.
jock in high school. Wasn't a jock in college. I'm not going to be a jock now. So, and I know business owners that successfully sold and they immediately bought into another business part time, or bought a franchise, or any things like that. People are living longer and better, and it's a big mistake just to say, "Well, I'm going to sell and not have any plan thereafter," because there's lots of things you can do. I mentioned earlier philanthropy or travel or spending more time with the kids or putting the kids through college, or I mean there's so many things, but you have to have the conversation and think it through.
Yeah, it's kind of important. And if you don't have people around you to have those conversations, a lot of business owners are, yeah, it's kind of a lonely place. And you get used to doing that.
Well, particularly those business owners that have a lot of gray hair, like they're not used to talking about that stuff. It's very personal, and I don't
Yeah.
really like thinking about it. It's kind of uncomfortable. So having a good one-to-one conversation with someone who's been there, done that is a really good investment.
Yeah. It sounds like you might be a good someone who could lend an ear for that.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
part of the process.
Yeah, for sure. Very cool. All right. Well, is there anything else that you can think of at this point that would
No,
be interesting?
I want to emphasize that the assessment and we call the mini report is free. There's like zero cost, zero obligation.
Mhm.
Don't have to do anything with it. You can keep it or whatever you wish to it. And But if you want to open the door and go down the path of really understanding what your business currently is at and what its potential is, it's a great way to get started.
Yeah, so you'd go to phildoublet.com.
Push the left hand button. You're good.
All right, excellent. Well, thank you, Phil. I appreciate your joining me tonight on my inaugural relaunch episode.
Yeah. Congratulations on doing that, and thank you for asking me.
Oh, my pleasure. So it was fun.
Great.
I'll be giving you some info about the episode, and it's live, so it's already up on the site. But
Great.
we can talk about putting it out in other ways if you want. So
sounds great. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Hang on a sec. I'm gonna end the broadcast. Bye, everybody. We'll see you next week, Wednesday, 5:30. We got another episode for you coming up live, and stay tuned. I'll be promoting that this week. See you soon.